I had a sister. I repeat to myself as I drive down the rain-slicked country road. My name is Dan, and I'm either losing my mind entirely or about to attempt revenge on, God, I'll just say it, a ghost. It all happened last summer. I took a trip to see some family living over in Ireland, great aunt and uncle. After I was finished giving their quaint country home the old once-over with some paint, WD-40, and a nail gun, I began to sift through some boxes of old nostalgia. If you'd asked me the day before I left, I'd have told you I was a happy only child. But as I sift through the old photos, I keep seeing this girl. At first, I assumed it was one of the many local kids I used to hang around when we would spend summers there. But the more pictures I found, the more I saw this girl and I in our pajamas, or just getting up in the morning, opening birthday presents. Or, in other words, this girl was clearly my sister. I brought it up to my aunt and uncle, and not only did they not have any answers, they seemed to find nothing odd with the photographs. I'll spare you my breakdown, my search for answers, and get right to the extent of what I figured out during a 6-month journey that cost me my job, my house, my wife, and my reputation. The paranormal is all too real. It cost me $250,000 to get actual, tangible proof, but it was worth every penny. My sister wasn't killed or taken. She was erased. The process isn't instant. Why, I could still find traces halfway across the world, but it wasn't reversible either. She could be sitting beside me right now, screaming for help, and I'd never know. The thing that did it was a long-buried secret 3 towns over. There was a dozen different versions of the story, but the one that seemed to fit best with what I knew was as follows. Way back, when the land was just settled and towns just being formed, there was a child, a nasty, violent little bastard from the moment he was born. As he got older, his actions got worse. Before the kid could grow a mustache, he was committing sins that'd make a death row inmate blush. His parents, they did try their best and hide his crimes. But eventually, this evil little shit crossed a line that even they couldn't forgive him for. With his wife mutilated and dying the kind of slow death that only frontier medicine could provide, the boy's father made a decision. Some say he lost his mind, others that he saw what the boy really was. He lost an eye and a few fingers putting the kid down, though no one knows exactly how this happened. But once the deed was done, the man wanted to take no chances. He tore down the wall of the local church, having incapacitated the lone preacher servicing the town, and over the grave of his son, built a wall 12 layers of bricks thick. He was arrested, of course, and hung, as was common. But he got something wrong. He didn't cover the child in holy bricks. He desecrated a church and entombed his psychopathic kid beneath a heretical monument. And now, the soul of that kid, angry that his own legacy was erased, spends its time finding people to subject to a similar fate. Not for very much longer, if I have anything to say about it. In the seats beside me, I have 2 bags. One is filled with digging equipment, pickaxes, headlamps, shovels, etc. The other is filled with a selection of esoteric doodads and bullshit that will, if I haven't been ripped off, let me send this thing back to where it belongs. In my glove box is a broken down pistol carbine. Not that I think it'll do much good against some sheet-wearing 10-year-old, but who knows if I'm going to have to scare off a groundskeeper or security guard. The cemetery isn't imposing. In fact, it is the exact opposite. The gate's small and rusted, the stones sparse and poorly taken care of. I don't get a real sense of danger or fear as I drive my truck directly up to the unmarked grave. I know when my shovel hits cement that I found the spot. As I dig further, widening the hole, I see old bricks turned black with time and mold. I spend 2 hours hauling them out of that hole. Been building homes for a decade, so the work went quick. With each layer I removed, I felt a stronger sense of unease, as if I was digging my way toward an active landmine instead of a nearly 2-century-old corpse. And what a corpse it was. If I'd guess, I'd have to say this kid died within the decade. Not that I'm an expert on that kind of thing. Flesh still clung to the bones. A pungent reek of death and rot hit me like a slap to the face. I tossed the body up with as much care as I showed the bricks, giving it a look of disgust and ire as I climb out of the hole. It takes another hour to set up the random objects and candles for the ritual. I pour a mixture of white sand and silver around the corpse in a circle, completing the first part. I wish I could get my hands on you, you little asshole. I really do. Feel lucky, kid, because whatever the devil has in store for you is nothing compared to what I'd be doing. I say to the thing as I start the incantation. There was no wind rising, no thunderstorm suddenly starting. Wolves didn't decide to howl, and cats were absolutely silent. In fact, as I reached the end of the rite I had practiced thousands of times, I was beginning to feel less like some kind of ghostbuster and more like an insane moron yelling at the corpse of a child. Then, I heard a noise, an organic snapping like muffled pop rocks or ice crackling inside a winter glove. The corpse begins to writhe and shake, the dirt around it forming itself into leather flesh and steel like sinew for the desiccated husk. Liquid begins to fill the sockets, forming yellowed, rage-filled eyes. They lock with my own, and my blood runs cold. You might assume at this point I wasn't expecting this, and you'd be right. From everything I was told, once I was done with the ritual, everything was over. I scrambled back into my truck, leaving the tools and esoteric bits and pieces behind. I slammed my door shut and drive my key into the ignition. With its usual well-maintained roar, the engine comes to life. I put it in reverse, just as whatever was on the ground lands on the hood. It's small, maybe 4.5 feet. Its flesh tight and unhealthy looking. A few strands of spider web-like hair hang from its scalp. Its teeth are cracked fangs. Its nails long yellow claws. It drives one of its hands into the engine block, and with a vehicle shuddering cracking noise, the engine stops dead. The creature pulls back a bloody stump of a hand, smiling at me. Before my eyes, the hand repairs itself, almost seeming like a reversed film of the incident that caused it. It leaps at me, faster than I can track, shattering my windshield into a spray of safety glass. Either its aim was off, or I was quicker than I thought. It overshot its jump, smashing clean through the back window. I pop open the glove box and curse myself for bringing the carbine. A loaded and ready shotgun would be a lot more useful. I got out of the truck and look around, trying to follow the trail of broken glass to where the creature is. I don't see it and start to put the gun together. I quickly realize without the screwdriver in the truck, I have no way of attaching the stock. I throw it into the night and put together the receiver in the housing. I won't be winning any shooting matches, but I have a feeling things are going to get real personal with this thing.
12 steps down,
It says with a laugh from atop my truck, launching itself at me. 6 rounds pass through the thing's face before it hits me. I drop the gun in the struggle, holding the ghoul's arms out to its side as it drives me to the ground. It can't be more than 60 pounds, but the thing is stronger than any demolition guy or brick hauler I've ever met. I feel muscles in my stomach give out as I try to stop it from bringing those claws to bear. I brace myself against a gravestone and stand. This thing may be strong, but leverage and momentum are on my side. I slam its body into a gravestone, and the scream it elicits sprays my face with foul saliva. Finally, getting a reaction out of the creature puts some wind in my sails. I use its position to whip it against anything tall enough. Bones crack, and a ragged hole is torn in the thing before it kicks my chest, tearing itself from my grasp. But even as it jumps, flea-like from tombstone to tombstone, I see the bones pop back into place, the wounds beginning to seal.
deep below the ground.
The childlike voice says, some impossible echo making it sound as if it was coming from a dozen different places in the darkness. A cut across my forehead and a foul breeze. I turn, seeing something.
Mother's on the mend.
The voice continues, leaping at me as it sings. If it stayed silent, I would have been dead before I knew it. Its little habit gives me just enough time to swing for the fences before it hits me. I throw, of all things, a slap, my brain short-circuiting and reacting as if someone had just thrown a used Kleenex at me. But as my hand connects, there's a puff of smoke and the smell of burning flesh. The thing tumbles to the ground, breaking a tombstone in the process. It kneels, the playful look on its face replaced with pure hatred. Half of said face still smoldering and bleeding pus and smoke. The sand. It has to be the sand. I charge it, leveling another slap. Too late, I realize the first must have knocked all of the substance from my hand. The slap has the effect of a slap, and the thing grabs my wrist, digging a curved thumbnail into my forearm. I turn my head, seeing the quarter bag of sand still on the ground 10 feet away. I knew the bastard oversold me, but at the moment, I'm nothing but grateful. I try to hold the thing at arm's length, but it manages to gash my chest and face as I attempt to make my way to the only possible weapon in this fight. I try smashing it against the gravestone to dislodge its grip, but it's wise to my tricks, going limp and springing back at me with enough force to hook the claws of its other hand into my shoulder. Its face an inch away from mine, I lose most of my nose in an instant. I start to gag as blood drains back into my sinuses. The bag is only 5 feet away now. I can't give up. It bites into my skull, the pain alone bringing me to my knees. We struggle and roll on the ground. Something digs into my stomach, but I have no idea how far. I'm starting to see spots, likely blood loss, while this thing seems to be getting nothing but stronger as the fight goes on. I drag myself closer to the bag, trying to fend off the creature with one arm. I narrowly dodge a strike that would have went through my face if I hadn't turned my head. I choke scream as my nose sends a sharp burning pain through my head. I cough as dust mixes with the blood in my throat. The ritual. I roll on top of the thing, slamming it into the pattern of silver-infused sand on the ground. Smoke billows like a burning fire. The creature thrashes and screams, still keeping that thumb hooked into my arm, the gash widening and spilling blood in thick spurts. It fights through the pain. Trying to rise, it tosses its free hand back for a head-severing swipe, but the little bastard never gets the chance. I jam a fist through its rotten, razor-sharp teeth, and I don't stop pressing till I feel the back of its throat. I release a handful of sand from the bag, and in a moment, its eyes burst. I don't stop. I break the creature's jaw, the sand rapidly sapping its strength. I tear downwards, making its mouth a ruined cave. I drive my fist into the creature, depositing a fistful of sand each time. When I'm done, it's nothing more than a smoking mess of bones and gristle. I toss the corpse into my trunk. Logic dictates that the thing is dead, twice over in fact, but I'm not taking any chances. I know one guy who will know exactly what to do, and maybe even keep me from bleeding out in the bargain. The same crusty prick who sold me the half-functioning ritual kit. Alexa, call Demetrius.